You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I
Hey family! Boom, 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 boom! On today's episode of Perspective with E2, we have the privilege of introducing a remarkable guest whose journey in the world of finance and entrepreneurship has taken an inspiring turn towards empowerment and mentorship. Esna Colyn, a highly accomplished chartered accountant and an inspiring business leader, Esna's journey in finance began in 1993, and she has been a dedicated member of Sekhu-Pedi ever since. Her career boasts a wealth of experience in banking, private equity, and corporate finance. Her story takes an intriguing turn when in May 2010, she assumed the role of CEO at Upbringing Beauty. During her tenure at Upbringing Beauty, Esna Colyn's true passion came to the forefront. She realized that her calling lay in empowering and inspiring women. This revelation ignited a powerful transformation in her professional journey. In 2022, Esna made a significant decision, showing her commitment to her passions and her family, and she stepped down as CEO of Upbringing Beauty and assumed the role of the chairperson, allowing her the time and the flexibility to pursue her true calling. This move also offered her the precious opportunity to spend quality time with her teenage daughter, Linka, showing her dedication to both her career and her family. Esna Colyn is a shining example of a leader who has found her purpose and dedicates her life to making a positive impact. Her story is a testament to the power of following one's true passion and the importance of mentorship in shaping the next generation of business leaders. So without further ado, after that long, beautiful introduction, let's welcome Esna Colyn to Perspective with E2. Esna, it's such an honor to have you here with us.
Too, it's such an honor to be here today. I'm filled with joy to sit here in a seat next to you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Sure. You are such a remarkable woman, and we are going to get into it, right? And we are going to talk about your beautiful journey. But I think the best way to know somebody is to know where the person is from, how they grew up, with your parents, whether your parents, did you grow up with your siblings, and how many are you guys?
So let me start there. And, normally I take it to my first picture with my parents was black and white. Mm-hmm. So that gives away my age, if I could put it like that. My dad was a soldier, mm-hmm. and my mom a teacher. Mm-hmm. And I think as we go through our journeys, we all have very significant people in our lives who shapes and forms us.
So,
I've got one brother. He lives in the UK. Mm-hmm. I don't see too much of him.
Yeah.
His birthday is on 23 April.
Mm-hmm.
So I normally like to phone him on the 23rd of every month. Mm-hmm. But I must say, here and there, I also skip and miss.
Yeah.
But yes, so I've got my one brother. His name is Poon. And my father passed on many years ago. I think being a soldier, it takes its toll on your life. But the biggest lesson that I learned from my dad was discipline. And my mom is still alive. She turned 80 last year. And that was a very special occasion. She made it very special for all of us when she turned 80.
Sure.
And I truly love my mom.
So tell me more about your dad. Your dad was a soldier, right? When you were growing up as a young little child, you know how soldiers, they don't know how to show love because of all the trauma. Did you ever experience love from your dad? And to what extent in that moment? And how did you navigate through that?
One thing about my dad, he played rough with us.
Yeah.
So that was his way of showing love by being very rough. We always had to arm wrestle. We had to see who's the strongest at home. And we worked very hard. You know, as kids, we had to work very hard in the garden every Saturday.
Sure.
It wasn't fun. But yes, I must say being a soldier is very hard, very disciplined. Unfortunately, there's certain things where they are too strict with their children as well. But that's just the way they conduct themselves because they want you to be the best. And, you know, that's not always a good thing to be always competitive in everything that you do. Sometimes you have to stand back a little bit and get the perspective of the other person.
Sure.
So, but yes, it was a tough upbringing. I still remember every morning a very hard knock on your door when you had to wake up. And you were actually called soldiers. Trooper, it's time to get up.
Wow.
Every single morning of your life.
And how did that affect you, like mentally?
When you think back, I think it does have an effect on your confidence levels because it's not cushy. But what I also want to say, when you come to real life, you see you have to be tough in the world out there.
Sure. Oh, wow. And what do they call you back at home?
Essie.
Essie.
Oh, I love it.
I'm Essie.
Oh, I love it.
And then your husband probably called you Leafy.
Also Essie.
Okay.
And once in a newspaper, I don't know if everybody will understand it, there was a little small little ape called Essie die stompduim aapie.
Okay.
So my husband would call me that sometimes, Essie. Okay.
So, Essie,
I'm Essie, yes.
what conversations are you having with your parents at that young age?
At a young age, in our upbringing, we weren't allowed to speak a lot. We had to be heard and not seen in our homes. That's how it was. But after school, my dad decided that I had to go for my army. And he said I had to go and work for a year in Paris.
Yeah.
He wanted me to go and work for the South African embassy in Paris.
Wow.
So before I left, I went for a quick crash course at the Air Force to learn how to type. And when I arrived in Paris, they told me that I'm only 17 years old. I cannot go and work for the South African embassy.
Yeah.
So the long and the short is I had to go and find a job as an au pair. And ultimately, I still remember when I went to work for my madame, it was very, very hard. In my first position, I only lasted 3 months.
Sure.
Because we were 2 au pairs working in the home. And, I came from a home, yes, I wasn't allowed to speak much. I had to listen. But in this house, the small children, 4 and 8 years old, were actually almost more mature, if you know what I mean. They were only 4 and 8, but they had many au pairs that worked with them before.
Sure.
And it was very hard. We were 2 girls working in the house. Jocelyn came from the north of France. I came from South Africa, the southern tip of Africa. Those days, no cell phones, no emails, nothing like that. And I went. I had to work for this very strict madame. And I remember the first time that my ears opened up to my madame is when she told the other girl in the house that she only made good enough food for the dogs and the children.
Wow.
In French. That's the first time that I understood French when my madame
God.
said that to the other girls. So that was quite an eye-opener. And then from there on, I worked. There was wonderful people of the embassy that actually took me in. And I think they treated me more like a daughter and not like an au pair, even though I worked for them as an au pair.
Yeah.
And that was a year. My husband, I met him already at school. He went to the real army in South Africa. And I still remember I sent him many love letters from Paris, all in air freight.
Yeah.
And he had to do a lot of push-ups when he received my letters, my pink perfumed letters.
Yeah.
So that was just in a nutshell my experience directly after school. I still encourage a lot of parents, if their children don't know what to do after school, instead of going to study the wrong career, is to take that gap year and to get away from the books and to grow up. But I also want to say in the same breath, I still didn't grow up in that year, even though it was tough, because we still, when we after school, we're not that full circle yet. We're still a half circle, and we have to do a lot of work on ourselves continuously. It's an ongoing journey.
So,
Yeah.
in that moment when you went to France, did you ever feel neglected by your family? And therefore, for the very first time, when you were taken in by this family that treated you like a daughter, was that the first moment when you felt loved and you felt seen and you felt appreciated for who you are and not for what other people want you to be?
To be honest, I never really felt neglected ever by my parents, because I knew they wanted to have the best for me. But I did feel alone, because I could only speak once with my parents during that entire year when they phoned me on my birthday. And I think then once again when we had, my cousin actually passed away during that time where they contacted me again. The truth is I was still trying to find myself. And as a young girl, I didn't really know how to find myself.
So,
At school, I was a very good athlete. But when I was in Paris, I didn't go for a run. I didn't go and do things where I would actually find happiness. I was often locked away in my room.
so
To be honest with you, I ate too much. Do things that didn't make me happy. Whereas often we should actually go out and laugh a lot, because laughter, I believe, is such a good thing.
So,
We don't laugh enough. We don't find enough joy in the world. So we will often, when we feel very insecure, we will go into a little corner and we will just hide away, which is actually the wrong thing to do. And that's what I experienced in that year. I went into my little shell to try and protect myself. And at the end of the day, I was actually doing more harm to myself, because I was living my life in my head, which is often the wrong place to live your life. You should be out there and learn and grow, which are the things that makes us happy when we learn and grow.
And when was that shift for you that moved from that state of oppression, right, to a place of, okay, now I'm going to go after my dreams and I'm going to live for me?
You're going to be shocked when you hear this, but so much later in my life, only when I turned about 47, I think roundabout that we met each other for the very first time. I still remember the day when your mama sat next to me in church. Two things only started to shift then for me. And I know that so often I've heard many people say, today is the day. Today I'm going to change my life, etc., etc. But my life changed when I went back to church. And when I actually sat next to your mama and she said to me, my daughter wrote a book, and I've got the book here. I read your book. It inspired me. It warmed my heart. It filled my heart with joy, and things like that. So that's so much later in my life. There were so many things happening in between. Yes, we all write a story. I believe we all write a story. Every single one of us write a story. But at the end of the day, we have to anchor ourselves in God, and we have to start seeing ourselves through the eyes of God. We spoke about that earlier. And then things gradually start to shift in your life.
Sure.
And you start to find that ultimate happiness in your life.
Well, I know that you had mentioned that you had played sports in your scholar years. How did sports help you with your mental?
The biggest thing is you always have strict instructors in sport. We've seen Rassi now, and as you can see, I'm wearing my green jacket.
Yeah.
Also dressed in green for our Springboks. Incredible team, but so much humility. When we look at Rassi, we look at Sia,
Sure.
we look at every one of them, Cheslin, so much humility.
Yeah.
And that's what sport always teaches you. You have to be humble, because whatever you have in life can be taken away from you in a minute. So sport taught me to persevere. I had the privilege to run against Zola Bat. So Zola Bat is just an incredible woman that's also went through a lot. We know that she ran against Mary Decker, and she actually fell at the Olympics, but she got up again.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest lesson that sport teaches you. You will fall down many times in your life, but you have to stand up every time, and you have to face the world again.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Sure. Wow, that is so powerful. That
It's
is
the
so-
truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah. That is so
Because
powerful.
as I sit here, I have many failures in my life. But after every failure, I had to stand up again. And yes, you have to become a full circle. I know when I got married, I know I was a half circle.
Sure.
My husband was half a circle. And the lesson that I learned, I actually learned it in COVID. 2 half circles will never make a full circle. You have to become a full circle in your own life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you took it to marriage, because, I mean, like, we were having a conversation that, for example, like, I didn't grow up with my father, right? And because of that, even when you get married, you don't know what a husband is supposed to look like. You don't know what a husband is supposed to do. You've got no references at all. And you as well, as a young little girl, you also don't know what a wife is supposed to be, how a wife is supposed to act, right?
So true.
Because you have no reference. But also, we come from a place where, for example, of feeling alone for so many years, and now you are now married. Being married doesn't fill that void immediately. It will take a while. How was that journey like for you? And in that moment where you both felt like, okay, there's half of me and there's half of you, how did you guys navigate that? And to what extent did it hurt your marriage?
It took very long. And my oldest son is now 20 years old. And I would say it really started to shift once we had children. I'm very grateful that we had our children much later in our lives, because that has helped us to be better parents for our children. But in the beginning of my marriage, I think where I really felt down, it goes back to love and respect.
Sure.
Everything about love, your husband has to love you more than he loves himself.
Yeah.
And you have to respect your husband with everything that you've got in your heart. And I was competing with my husband every single day, because I came out of an environment where we fought a lot, because it was army every single day. And very competitive. I wanted to excel. So I went into this marriage where I wanted to compete with my husband. And it was so wrong.
Sure.
So I had to learn over the years to really respect my husband's authority, But it's such a journey, and it's a learning, and it's hard to be the marshmallow and not always trying to compete and to try and be the best, because you're not the best. So, and that caused a lot of friction in the early years of our marriage. And as I said, my son is now 20 years. And this year, by the grace of God, we will be married for 34 years.
Wow.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But as you can see, a very long time of the marriage was hard and tough. And we had to find each other in this journey. And I'm very grateful that I can honestly say that we did over the years.
What was that breaking moment where you were like, okay, if I don't change myself, I'm going to hurt my marriage, and I would rather work on it rather than lose it?
I have to give the credit to my husband, because he's the one that really said and stood up and said, we have to make this work.
So,
And we both took a conscious decision together that we are going to make this marriage happen and this marriage work. And again, my spiritual family has also helped a lot, because I had to get many, many teachings over the years. Pastor, in particular, Pastor Jimmy Evans, has got incredible teachings around marriage and helps many young people around marriage. Books to read, audios to listen to, things like that. You have to gain knowledge around the subject to become stronger. So, but it's been a journey, and I just say to people, don't give up on the journey. You have to fight on this journey, because you have to rekindle that original love that's always been there. Because when you've got a soulmate, you just know it, and you can't just walk away from that.
So, did you ever blame your dad and the environment that you're from for you being in that way, that I'm going to go and compete with my husband, and did you have those conversations with your dad before he left us?
Unfortunately, I couldn't have it, but I know that my dad was diagnosed with cancer.
So
they said he would have 1 month to live. In the end, he lived for 3 months. So when I spent some time with him at the end, I just sat quietly with him.
So
I never had the privilege to have deep, meaningful conversations with my father. Even though we were connected on a soul level, I never could have those deep, meaningful conversations with him.
yeah,
So there's a lot of things that I had to come to terms with over the years that I couldn't really directly speak to him about. But I remember, I would say about a year ago, I received a beautiful godly dream about my father.
Sure.
And I never had dreams about my father. And it was, my dad had a beautiful handwriting. Beautiful. He was also a perfectionist.
yeah,
And I just remember in the dream, he gave me 8 or 9 roses, like in a little block. And that was quite special, because I know we can never communicate with the dead. But it just felt like I got a little bit of closure
so
when I got these beautiful red roses.
Yeah.
That was a perfect little decoration from my dad. And then I realized when I wanted to phone him, I couldn't, because he was dead.
so
And but again, to answer your question, I know that God knows best
Sure.
for each and every one of us. He knew that I had to have this father
yeah,
to make me the person that I am today. And we all both know none of us are perfect in this world.
Yeah.
We all work in progress. We all going through a journey. We all go through a journey where we really want to excel in life. But God's got a way to work with us, to prune us, to take out the things in our lives
Sure.
which is not pleasing to Him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof, I love that. Oof, yeah. That is
Which is not pleasing to them. There's many things in our lives that's not pleasing. The one that jumps to mind is ego.
yeah.
And it takes me back to our beautiful Sekhu-Pedi, who's so humble. His wife, Rachel,
Yeah.
she's so strong.
Right? She's so strong.
She's a strong woman standing next to her husband. And so lots to learn and lots from observation from other people. I just look at you.
So
And I just see you inspiring so many women.
yeah.
In every time that I watch your Instagram account, I'm inspired. I just want to go and do more.
Wow.
I just want to go and say there's so much that we can do in this world to change people.
Yeah.
And I think that brings me back to my journey. I love women.
Yeah.
I love women, and I love to inspire women and to say to them, we have got so much more inside of us to actually change this world,
Yeah.
this broken world that we live in.
Yeah.
Because this is also not going to be forever.
Yeah. Oh, that is so beautiful. And I loved what you said, that through our brokenness, we are able to help other people. And I always say that, how that saying goes, that you have been blessed to become a blessing. I always say that I've been healed to be a healer. Right?
Yes.
And I think it's the same with you as well, where you've walked through this journey, but that didn't stop you from you becoming the person that we know here today, right? With which we are gonna jump into right now. And I want to ask, when did the jump happen between being a CA and beauty, and what type of conversations in this moment are you having with yourself, and did you ever feel like, for lack of a better word, I'm gonna do what I want, and that is beauty, because I'm passionate about beauty?
Never thought about it, but from a young age, we always received little samples from pharmacies. And I would always collect those little samples in a little box at home, perfumes and things like that. So, and then the privilege of working in Paris for a year and seeing all these beautiful beauty brands was wonderful.
So,
but the truth is, God takes us onto journeys that we would never expect Him to take us on, because often those journeys are much harder than we think before we start on those journeys. They're tough. They're very, very tough. And you think it's all about the glamour, but it's not about the glamour. It's about the people that He wants to change. But most of all, He wants to change you on this journey so that you can become a vessel in this world to actually touch other lives. So the journeys that we go on are often completely the opposite of what we thought we're going on. And that's the truth. That's just the honest truth. And I'm very fortunate because my husband allows me to be a free spirit and to really pursue my dreams and my passions. And when I was on this journey in 2016, the same year that we met each other, I for the very first time heard God audibly speak to me and ask me to leave this journey. I was devastated to hear from God to say that you need to get off the bus. Is very hard. I still remember that when I heard Him audibly speak to me, I went to sit in a chair and I had to digest. And I thought, God, did you really say that I have to get off this bus? You know that I love this. I really want to do this.
Yeah.
And going from 2016 up to 2022, where I only finally left and handed over the baton, I felt very disobedient.
Sure.
Still walking this journey out. Still being there. Whereas I know God said to me, I had to leave.
Yeah.
So yes, it was not what I expected it to be. It was much harder, but I'm incredibly grateful
Sure.
again for the people
Sure.
who I met on this journey,
Yeah.
because we both know that there are incredible people out there.
Yeah.
And I want to say you are one of them.
Sure. Thank you.
You are one of them, Sue. So many things that you've done into my life. And one of them that I also want to say is I've got mentors in my life, because I believe that we have to have mentors in our lives that will speak into our lives when it's very hard. One of them is our founder of our company. She started our company 43 years ago.
Yeah.
And, even before I came in here, I would send her a quick message just to think of me, because we need each other on this journey. We cannot do this life on our own.
Yeah.
I tried to do it in Paris for that year on my own, and it's too hard. So we need people around us that will help us on this journey.
Ooh. So you deal with beauty products. How would you define beauty?
It's a difficult question, and I don't want to say it's a cliche. The truth is, beauty is truly you. That is beauty. Because beauty is inspiring other people.
So
That is what beauty is all about.
yes.
You have to inspire.
So
Because beauty is, people desire to become whole. And we can look at the most beautiful women out there. I recently watched the top models with my girls, my daughter Linka.
no.
And we enjoyed it so much. Naomi Campbell, all those women. And they all struggled with so many insecurities.
Yeah.
If you listen to their stories, Christy Turnington,
Yeah.
Eva, every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it's only when they truly find the strength inside, the power that they've got inside, the power that you so often talk about,
So
that they excel, that they started to excel.
yeah.
So that is what beauty is all about, inspiring, desirability, but strength and power. That is what beauty is for me.
Oof. I love that you say inspire, and normally being inspiring comes from being vulnerable, right? And you were a CEO for so many years at this top company, Bloom Beauty, and normally people who are in the executive level are normally not vulnerable, right? Because they need to put up a certain facade. When was it in that moment when you said, I'm going to break free from looking like I'm perfect, from being perfect, to being a person who is saying, I'm perfect because of my story. I'm perfect, and therefore I'm going to inspire people from my own story, and I'm going to allow myself to become vulnerable. When was that shift for you?
There were many gradual shifts. My first shift was in 2014 when I traveled to the south of France and Switzerland with the product formulator. She went to show me where all our beautiful active ingredients are manufactured.
Yeah.
And one of the most incredible active ingredients that we came about was a resurrection plant. And there are only 300 resurrection plants on our planet.
So,
And it can go to a complete dry twig But when you put it into a glass of water, it will start to grow again.
So,
And she let us chose this incredible resurrection plant in the south of France, and actually in Switzerland. But this friend of mine lost her daughter 3 years earlier
so,
in a motorbike accident. And before we went up on the Jungfraujoch, which is the highest mountain in Switzerland, she started to tell me a story.
so,
And when I heard her story for the very first time, I said to her, Karen, one day we are going to make a film of your story.
so.
And she said to me, Esna, I'm busy writing a book. And exactly 2 years to the date of us being on that mountain,
Yeah.
she also placed her book in my hands. That was 2016 when I also received your book. So that was the first shift in 2014. On that day when I mounted the Jungfraujoch, I also said to her, I want to turn my life back to God.
Wow.
And then the journey started. That was in 2014.
Yeah.
Then I met you in 2016. 2016 was also an incredible year in my life. And then I want to say that 2020, COVID, was also an incredible year in my life. Because all our beauty salons went into hard lockdown. I had to do a lot of soul searching.
So,
Many days that I was just lying under the trees at our home when all the beauty salons went into hard lockdown. And I took a conscious decision that I want to leave everything that I didn't like about myself in lockdown. I didn't want to bring it out of lockdown.
yeah.
And I also, in that year, I saw many, many people struggling with relationships.
Yeah.
And, you know, where I saw that there's so many reconciliation that needs to be done in this world.
Sure.
People are fighting about silly things in this world. And unless you forgive and forget and let go, things will not change.
Yeah.
So that was a big year for me where I had to do a lot of forgiveness, a lot of let go, and leave all the ugly stuff of Esna in lockdown
Yeah.
and bring a free person out of lockdown.
Yeah.
So that was a big shift. We went through a lot of things as a company. We took on a big COVID loan. I know my mom said, how can you take on more debt? But we have got strong men shareholders for whom I've got incredible respect, incredible gratitude.
Yeah.
One of the biggest lessons that I learned from our one big shareholder, he said to me, Esna, just remember, the difference between success and failure is as thin as a piece of paper. It's the truth. Doesn't matter, you've got R1 billion in the bank. The difference between success and failure is as thin as a piece of paper. So often in life, we make wrong decisions in our life, but we both know we serve a gracious Father in heaven.
Yeah.
So when we take those wrong decisions, we can go and ask for forgiveness and turn back and start to walk the journey again. And just go through that. So yes, lots of things, lots of hard lessons that I had to learn. And the very, very, very important lesson that I also learned just this week is we have to become a fountain of living waters where we can inspire other people.
Yeah.
We can't become a dry reservoir.
Yeah.
And it all starts with our eyes.
Sure.
What do we see from our eyes? Is it the beauty that you spoke about earlier on?
Yeah.
Or is it the envy, the jealousy,
Yeah.
the terrible things in our lives? Or do we just let go and become the person who we are meant to be on this journey?
So,
And it's exciting. We know that every single day, just by sitting here today with you, is a gift.
so,
It's an incredible gift that you are giving me. So grateful.
yeah.
And so that was the tough things that I had to go through in COVID. And we easily want to give up in life and say, this is too hard. I don't want to dig deep. I don't want to change the inside. I rather just want to give up. But that is what sports teach you. You have to stand up again, because can you imagine how the captain of the New Zealand team needs to feel? He has to dig very hard, very deep, but he also has to stand up again. And we know it could have gone differently for the box if those kicks went over, for New Zealand. Our box could have cried now if that happened. That's how quickly it is. And that's what our big shareholder told me. He said to me, the difference between success and failure is as thin as a piece of paper. And we have to remember that every day, that every single day is like that.
Yeah. When he said that to you in that moment, how much did it hit you? And what change did you have to do immediately when you heard those words from him?
And again, change in my life has always been gradual. But there's often revelation.
So,
And I keep a little book of my life. The front is my spiritual journey. The middle is my leadership and work journey. And the back also, I've got my passwords and things like that. And I love to, every year at the beginning of the year, I love to look at all of that. Because I think we must never forget where we come from.
Sean.
We must keep those things. So when he said that to me, I immediately went and I wrote it down as one of my lessons that I've learned in my life. So many lessons that I've learned over the years, but that was a lesson where I also realized we often have to stand back. If I look at Rassie and when I look at Jacques now with a rugby, they often stand back. They don't always have to be at the forefront. Because I believe that to serve is actually better than anything else. To serve and to do the small things in life. Recently, when you came to my home with your books, I was so excited that day. You also met Dee, who was there. And her son has just finished his incredible journey where he went to become a big game hunter. He had to go and study for that in the Northern Cape. So I still remember the day when somebody helped me with my CV. So it was the biggest gift for me recently when I could do his CV for him. And he was so happy with his CV that he's now sending out to get a prime position, because we want him to get a great position somewhere at one of these wonderful game lodges. I mean, it's such a blessing to live in Africa.
Right?
You will agree with me.
Right? Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Living in Paris for a year, when I came back to South Africa, I was kissing the ground. I was kissing Betty, who worked in our home. I was kissing this beautiful blue skies that we see every single day. Because we are so blessed to live in Africa. So that was a blessing for me, to do a CV for Damien, her son. And we just want him to get a great position somewhere in Africa. Things like that, where we can serve. It's in the small things where we shift everything around us, not the big things. It's really in the small gestures
Yeah.
for people around us where everything shifts every day for me.
Oof. Wow. Oof, I love that. Esna, you are now mentoring the next generation of business leaders, right? Why was this important to you? And do you feel like you lacked mentorship as you were starting out in business, and therefore you want to close the gap for the next generation?
Absolutely, yes. I lack mentorship.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really in our days when we started business. You had to figure it out yourself. And I know there's this one lady, she's got this saying to say, everything is figure outable.
So, yeah.
But if we've got mentors in our life, we can fast track the journey. So again, something that I need to give credit to our church for, because they started the mentorship program.
Yeah.
And then I just loved it from day one, to have the privilege to speak into younger women's lives, because it's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And I still remember the first day that I went for I saw on the back of the newspaper a very senior businessman providing his services as mentorship.
So,
And I made contact with him. And I said, can I please be mentored by you? And he gave me incredible mentorship services.
so,
But the long and the short is, I still remember the one day he still sat in front of me. And the next day he took on a very senior position at a competitor. So that was hard for me to understand. But during that journey, I learned so much about mentorship.
so,
And yes, today I'm enjoying it so much. I would say at any point in time, I've got about 8 young girls and sometimes older girls that I mentor. It's quite an interesting process. We meet once a month for an hour and we go through many things,
so,
that they need help with, advice with, guidance with in the business world. And I really, really enjoy it tremendously. It makes me very happy.
Sure.
And I believe we need to do things that makes us happy. And then I'm also busy with a project, which is to actually make this film.
Yes.
Because when I speak about things, I really want to do it.
So,
We started with a journey where we're writing the script. We're on the second last version of the script.
wow.
Of my friend's book, 100 Minutes of Grace.
So,
And it was such a wonderful journey to embark on this journey. And yes, from there on, we'll have to embark on the journey of establishing a digital platform, because I've seen the digital platform of Mr. Dallas Jenkins in Texas. He's got the platform for the chosen, and I want to create a similar platform. So last year when I did my vision board in my study, I don't know if you've got one.
I do have a vision board. You always have to have a vision board if you want to move ahead.
It is so special.
Yeah.
You know, I had when I was still a little baby in my pram, we were growing up in Sunnyside, Pretoria, and there was a film crew taking a film of all these little babies in Sunnyside.
Yeah.
So that's on the left-hand corner, the film crew on my vision board.
So,
And then I've got Mr. Dallas Jenkins at the bottom of my vision board. And the first time when my husband walked into the study, he said, "Who's this man on your vision board?"
of course.
And I said, "This is Mr. Dallas Jenkins, because he's achieved so much through the chosen program on his platform." So I've got my vision board. We've got it because we want to help women to live a victorious life of overcoming through our digital platform.
Yeah.
That is ultimately our mission.
Wow. Oof, I love it. And so now in the midst of the success and greatness, how do you take care of Esna? How do you take care of your mental health and care? When you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a businesswoman, you're a filmmaker now, you are just doing extraordinary things, in this world. How do you take care of yourself?
Putu, I'm not a filmmaker. Yes.
We speak it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So what really makes me happy is the small things in life. When I get into bed at night and I feel clean sheets, those are the things that give me so much gratitude. And also, I must say, I'm so grateful. I worked very hard my entire life because I wanted to prove myself. But now spending quality time with my daughter, this morning before I came here, I could go for a walk with her. At the end of the day, just giving her a hug makes me happy. She's gone to a school to go and see the Springboks because they're busy with their tour today.
Yes.
She is super excited. She took a little flag with her. So those are the things. Or watching the Beckham's documentary recently, just to see those things and do spend quality time together.
Yeah.
But I also love to grow and to learn.
Yeah.
I believe we need to have a teachable spirit our entire life. To learn and to grow makes me extremely happy. So I listen to a lot of Audible books. The one that really stood out for me was Reinhard Bonnke's autobiography. That's a 34-hour autobiography. And he came to South Africa in 1967, the year that I was born. So that makes it very special with Reinhard Bonnke. I don't know if you've had the time to listen.
No, I don't even know who he is, but I will research.
He led 79 million souls to salvation in Africa. He bought the trucks of Gaddafi. He had the biggest tents in Africa.
Wow.
He had the biggest gatherings ever in Africa. 1 million people would come to his gatherings at a time. So in 2020, I had the privilege to go to his funeral at our church. It was broadcasted from America. And he said he never wants to be a millionaire of money, but a millionaire of souls.
Of souls. Ooh, power. Yeah. Ooh, come on now. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Esna, you've got 2 hands and you've got 10 fingers. Are you reaching your full potential?
Very good question that you're asking me today. There's so much more to do for both of us. So I want to say to you, the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
And it is my prayer that I will reach my full destiny and my full potential. But not yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah. Oof, I love that. All right, so now we are at the last segment where I'm going to ask you your perspective on various topics. What is your perspective on power?
I believe we've got incredible power on the inside of us. And power is from within.
I love that. What is your perspective on spirituality?
My perspective became so much clearer. It's to become more Christ-like and to really have Christ within and have a deep and personal and intimate relationship with Christ.
Oof. What is your perspective on family?
It's love. And I know family brings for me perfect love. And we both know that perfect love casts out all fear.
Yeah.
So that is what family is to me.
Oof. What is your perspective on self-care and mental health?
Discipline. It's so easy to have the wrong thoughts. But But it's just as easy to remove the wrong thoughts from your mind. It's a choice. So everything on self-care is a choice. We both have a choice now to drink something healthy this morning. Or we have a choice to go to the other side. But I also know there's times where you can just have fun and let down and just also let your hair down and giggle. And just be in the moment. And just feel the warmth of the moment. So like I'm feeling it now.
Oof. Wow. What is your perspective on purpose?
Oh, it's so deep. Purpose is so deep, and we can only find our purpose in our Creator because He knows why He created us. And I heard something so beautiful. God never created us to know the difference between good and bad, good and evil. He created us just to have a personal, deep and intimate relationship with us. That's why He created us.
Oh, wow. Esna, please take that mirror over there. Right next to you. Yes. Esna, when I started seeing my beauty, I had to stop looking at myself and I had to start seeing me. What do you see when you look into that mirror?
I see the eyes of God, because I believe as I look here, we have to see ourselves through the eyes of God and not through the eyes of other people and through our own critical eyes. Because our eyes in this world are so critical. We are always evaluating things. And as I look here, I also want to give credit to my daughter who did my makeup this morning. So I just want to say thank you to her. And Utu, I just want to say thank you for this very blessed time in your presence. Because I can see true love coming from your eyes to all the women out there who you are taking on this journey with you for complete healing. Because ultimately, we can get complete healing by seeing ourselves through the eyes of God. And that's what I see here today. And I'm incredibly grateful. It took long to get to this point. But I want to say to everybody, keep on fighting. Never give up. And yes, there are days where we fall. But then we have to stand up again the next day and just face the world again. And try again.
Oof, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Utu. And Utu, you just, I don't know, you just inspire me so much. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you to your mama who told me that day in church. My daughter wrote a book. And I could run upstairs and go and buy this book from you. Because I still believe, like you said, you are going global with your story. And you're a fighter girl. And all the power are within. You know, so it's a journey that we are both on. And we both want to empower women to find themselves and to live a victorious life of overcoming. Because the one thing that I know that Karen said after she wrote her book, many people will read her book, but they won't change after they've read the book. So that's why I believe filmmaking is important. Because my other picture that I've got up there is Chariots of Fire. So that is when I watched that movie, it made me want to go and run.
Wow.
That's where I wanted. So I believe through storytelling, testimonies, we shift. We shift people.
I love that, Esna.
You agree?
Absolutely. 100%.
You agree with that?
Absolutely. And I just want to say to you as well, you're so remarkable. You are absolutely remarkable. And I'm proud of the woman that you are.
Thanks.
And I see you. I see you. And I love you.
Thank you.
And you're amazing.
Thank you.
And you haven't even started. That moment when you shifted your mindset and said, I'm going for what God said I must go for, that moment was just the beginning. There's still so much more that God has got in store for you. And you're also going global. You're also going global. Your story is going to go global because you're so amazing. And a candle tried to burn me. It also tried to ruin me. But that candle lives within me. And I'd like to say to you right now, Esna, keep shining. Never shrink. Just keep your light burning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I receive it.
Yeah.
And I will run with it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And I know these guys will make the changes as necessary to cut where, some things shouldn't have been said or whatever. They are the pros.
We actually don't cut anything.
Really?
We just let things flow. The only thing that we will probably cut here and there is the coughs, because I do have flu, guys. I'm so sorry. So don't mind my voice as well. Okay.
Guys are pros.
But
I
drink
can see it.
lemon water and hot water, darling. Yeah.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to laugh more today. I didn't giggle enough. I think we were a bit serious, huh? We were a bit serious.
Yeah, it's about bringing hope and healing.
Okay. That's why it is like that.
Yeah.
Because you've done it many times.
Yes. Isn't that this camera, this camera?
Yeah.
Tell the people what you have going on right now. Tell them what they should be looking forward to. And also just name all the franchises that are under Bloom Beauty. Because I think a lot of people are hearing us saying it, but they're just like, what is I Bloom Beauty? I mean, I know that I was under Classical for the longest of time, and I enjoyed all the massages, the facials, all the treatments. It was absolutely amazing. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to say that I Bloom Beauty actually originated 43 years ago in a small little place, Ermelo. But since then, it's evolved incredibly. And last year, we got a new dynamic CEO. Her name is Leanne Herbst. She was the CEO of NIMU, but now she's the CEO of the bigger group. And inside our group, we have the classical franchises. As you know, you received wonderful massages and treatments.
Oh, you're amazing.
Yes. And then we also have the Perfect 10 group, and Dream Nails is also part of that group. And then the NIMU and the Inoxa skincare groups are also part of this Amka Skin larger, bigger group, which we are part of.
Yeah.
So that's the I Bloom Beauty group, how they fit in there. And I'm currently busy finalizing a digital platform. We are, as I mentioned earlier on, just finished writing the script of Karen's book, 100 Minutes of Grace. This picture at the back, I took on the day off on 15 June 2014. And so that's the journey that I'm busy on.
So,
the great advice that I got is just take the journey one day at a time and step by step. Make sure that you just enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Just to close it off beautifully, how many stores are under I Bloom Beauty?
We have quite a lot of franchise stores. In total, we're just under 40 doors, but there's many, many independent beauty salons that forms part of the group.
So,
and if I look at the bigger Amper group, which is our major shareholders, I don't want to boast, but I know that they've got many salons across Africa. I think it's more than 50,000.
oh,
It's very large.
Oh, that is huge.
So that is the credit that goes to our shareholders. They've built up an incredible business for over many, many years.
Wow. Oof. And from me, Mrs. Itumeleng Sekhu-Pedi, keep your perspective alive. Mwah.